A hustle without a bank account is just a hobby with receipts. We're taking 28 days, 28 small steps to build a business that's meaningful, impactful, profitable. Today's focus is on financial foundations, learning stuff like opening up business bank accounts, setting up accounting tools, exploring funding options. The goal today is to finish up the administrator basics we started yesterday when we were talking about legal setup. Getting your finances right from day one is what separates the noobs from the vets. My boys are gamers like their dad, so today's lesson isn't some clutch moment, but it is a great way for others, like investors, partners, clients, to figure out who's cracked and who's not. Back to plain English. Why does this all matter? Because if you don't get your finances in order early, it can snowball into chaos later. A solid financial setup keeps your hustle organized, compliant, and by everyone else's standards, ready for growth. Plus, it helps you separate personal and business expenses, which is critical for tracking profitability and protecting yourself legally, we talked about yesterday. Real life example, let's talk about how MailChimp co-founder Ben Chestnut handled his company's early finances. When MailChimp was just a side project, Ben and his partner bootstrapped everything. No outside investors whatsoever. No fancy accounting team, just a relentless focus on keeping business and personal finances separate. That discipline not only kept them organized for taxes, but also helped MailChimp grow into a $12 billion company, all without raising venture capital. Ben's story is kind of cool because it tells you that you don't need a huge budget or outside funding to build something massive. You just need smart, simple financial habits from the start. Okay, let's dive into today's questions. 1, do you need a business bank account? Let me just answer that here. Yes. So the better question would be, how do you choose the right one for your hustle? And let's expand that to the same question with accounting tools that will help track income, expenses, taxes, etc. 2, should you explore funding options like bootstrapping, loans, investors, and what's the best fit for your goals? Some of Professor Nutkin's questions are easier than others. I telegraphed the punchline, so you already know you need a business bank account. Easy to answer, but don't go lazy on admin stuff like this. Even if you're just starting out as a sole proprietor, separating your personal and business finances is super important. It simplifies bookkeeping, makes tax season less painful, and gives your hustle a professional edge, a sheen, if you will, if that's still a thing. If you've never had a business banking account, when you're doing your research for which bank to use, just look for features like low or no monthly fees, easy integration with accounting software like QuickBooks, online banking tools for convenience, access to small business loans for credit lines. I can tell you from experience that you'll probably just use the bank that you use for your personal account, which is fine. Just create that separation, right? Don't overthink the choice. What matters most is having a clean, dedicated space for your business's money to live and grow. If you're that rare kind of person who actually compares banking services, some great options include online banks, which I'm not going to name because I'm not trying to sell you anything, but you should know that online banks are designed specifically for small businesses and side hustlers. If you prefer a traditional bank, they're more likely to have lower money movement fees because of something called the Durbin Amendment and something else called Dodd-Frank, which I really don't want to explain because it puts me to sleep. The point is that online banks will serve you better, but bigger banks might actually cost you less and have better nationwide networks. Look, whatever you choose, just make sure it fits your needs without adding unnecessary costs. Don't stop me now. The good news is that the discipline you build bootstrapping serves you well, even if you decide to seek outside funding. Day 6, part 2, let's jump to accounting tools. And again, you want to keep it simple, tracking income, expenses, taxes. You don't need fancy software to start, just something that keeps your hustle organized. There are 3 big players, not to mention any by name, but you definitely have heard of at least one. And unfortunately, it's not the one that's free. If bookkeeping isn't your thing, one of the 3 popular services pairs you with a real human who handles everything for you. Ideal if you want to outsource this task entirely, but either way, I'm not going to blame you if you want to do that. The goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. Choose a tool that fits your current needs and scale up as your hustle grows. Let's go to the more interesting question. And before I throw up the picture, a warning about how sometimes AI takes your request for an image literally. Bootstraps. Okay. Funding options. Should you bootstrap or should you go looking for loans or investors? And what's the best fit for your goals? Unfortunately, this depends entirely on the nature of your hustle and how fast you want to grow. 1. Bootstrapping, using personal savings or reinvesting profits back into the business. This is low risk but requires patience. It's perfect if your hustle doesn't need big upfront investments. 2. Small business loans. Banks like Chase or online lenders like Cabbage offer loans tailored to small businesses. This can help with larger expenses like inventory or equipment, but it requires strong credit and repayment discipline. 3. Investors. If your hustle has high growth potential, think tech startups, attracting angel investors or venture capital might be worth exploring. I personally don't think of them as either or options. If you're new to the side hustle game, I'd first remind you that it's called a side hustle because you still have a day job, which means you have some ability to bankroll yourself. So I'd suggest that you think about the 3 options as progressions. You start with bootstrapping, grow, grow, grow. You move to small business loans, grow, grow, grow. You look for investors. It's not sexy to say, but most side hustlers just starting out, bootstrapping is the way to go. It keeps things simple and puts you in full control of your business. The good news is that the discipline you build bootstrapping serves you well, even if you decide to seek outside funding. Okay, take a moment and try to answer the day 6 questions for your hustle without AI, or before you listen to the next section, the 28-day Ivy League MBA. I personally think it's useful to try to answer the questions without AI first, but if you'd rather do that, the AI teaching assistant prompt will drop with today's case study in a couple hours. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out Lunch Break Millionaire Day 0, or go over to superserious.com where I'm posting daily transcripts. The AI prompts are there too. That's it. Hustle smarter. Don't stop me now. Day 6.3 of Lunch Break Millionaire. It's Saturday. We don't really have lunch breaks on weekends, and it's already a week too late to change the series name to Brunching Billionaire. But what can you do? So let's just make do with what we have, and let's turn your starchicidal pancake lunch into an Ivy League MBA degree. Let's talk about unit economics modeling. If you want to know whether your hustle is going to make you money or just keep you busy, you've got to get your head around unit economics. Don't let the term scare you off. Unit economics is just a fancy way of saying, do I make more money on every sale than it costs me to deliver? That's it. If you're spending $5 to make a product, you better be selling it for more than $5. Otherwise, you're not building business, you're building a money pit. So let's make this real. Every side hustle, every business comes down to units. A unit could be a single product, like a subscription, a service, whatever you sell. That's your unit. The magic is in figuring out for each unit you sell, how much cash actually sticks to your fingers after you pay for everything it takes to deliver that unit. That means your cost of goods sold, COGS, your shipping, your packaging, your payment processing fees, every nickel that leaves your pocket just to get the thing into your customer's hands. Subtract all that from your selling price, and you've got your unit margin. Now, here's where most first-time hustlers mess up. They look at the money coming in and forget about all the little costs that nibble away at their profits. Maybe you're selling a t-shirt for $25, but after you pay $10 to print it, $5 to ship it, $2 in payment fees, $1 for fancy packaging, you're actually making about $7 a t-shirt. That's your unit economics. But if you're running ads or giving discounts, you've got to factor those in too, because at the end of the day, if your margin isn't big enough, you're going to have to sell a mountain of shirts to cover your rent. Let's tie this back to today's question. When you're setting up your business bank account and picking your accounting tools, you're laying the groundwork for tracking these numbers. And when you're thinking about funding, bootstrapping, loans, investors, Unit economics is what tells you if your hustle is actually sustainable. If you can show that every customer is profitable, you'll have a much easier time convincing yourself and literally anyone else that your business is worth investing in. Take a moment, do the math for your hustle. Write down exactly what it costs you to deliver it. Be brutally honest. Don't forget the little stuff, shipping, transaction fees, packaging, even the cost of your time if you want to get fancy. Then write down what you charge. Subtract your total cost from your selling price. That's your unit margin. If it's positive, great. You're on the right track. If it's negative, you got some work to do. Maybe you need to raise your price, lower your costs, rethink the hustle. Keep telling yourself this isn't about making every dollar perfect from day one. It's about knowing your numbers so you can make smart decisions as you grow. The hustlers who last aren't the ones with the flashiest ideas. They're the ones who know, down to the penny, what it takes to make a buck. That's how you hustle smarter. Don't stop me now. This is day 6, part 4 of Lunch Break Millionaire. This is the segment where we hashtag build in public, where I answer the daily questions from parts 1 and 2 using the MBA skills we just learned in part 3 and showing my work here in part 4, sharing how I'm building my hustle from scratch. No filters, just the real journey. You don't need to like or subscribe. I'm not doing this for the clicks, but if you're leveling up from other creators and you know them personally, introduce us. I want to learn from them too and help them level up if I can. We all deserve better than to just make rich people richer. I'm going to go off format because I want to talk about bootstrapping and building with curiosity. One of the things I love most about my side hustles is that instead of throwing money at every problem, I treat expense as a chance to teach myself something new. Not because I'm cheap. Oh, maybe I'm cheap, but because I'm greedy. Not for money, for skills. It's never been about saving cash for me. It's always been about becoming a better hustler. The founders I respect the most didn't start with rich parents or unlimited resources. I certainly didn't. They started with curiosity and a willingness to figure things out. Look, I'll throw some famous names at you in a sec, celebrity founders, but my generation grew up with lots of stories from older generations about coming over here on a boat with like $2 in your pocket and building businesses with nothing but grit and determination, maybe a gun. They didn't have access to AI or venture capital or fancy tools. What they had was resourcefulness and an insatiable curiosity to learn what they didn't know. And guess what? That mindset is still a hustler's greatest asset today. You want celebrities? Fine. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx. I mentioned her on day 1. She started her business with $5,000 in savings and couldn't afford to hire a patent lawyer. So what did she do? She went to the library, she checked out some books on how to write patents, and she wrote her own. Founders, hustlers, don't wait for someone else to solve their problems. They don't try to buy the answers. They don't have the money to most of the time. They lean into learning, and you should do the same. You can do what I do, reframe every expense as an opportunity. Keep asking yourself, can I learn to do this myself? And keep reminding yourself, this isn't about being cheap. It's about staying curious. Need a logo? Don't hire a designer right away. I now know how to use Canva. My logo work is highly derivative, and that's okay. Want to run ads? I watched free YouTube tutorials on Meta's Ads Manager, and I experimented with $10 campaigns to learn what works. Need bookkeeping? No basic arithmetic? You get the point. The goal isn't to become an expert at everything. It's to stretch your curiosity muscles while saving money and building skills that will make you more self-sufficient. You see this play out next week when we devote days to marketing, branding, landing page design, social media, content strategy. You'll see how bad I am as a marketer. And I would be a whole lot worse if I had not tried to learn these skills myself. Had I immediately been like, I need to pay a marketer. Enough said. We all tend to admire business celebrities, but find it hard to explain why we admire them, other than they're successful. I'll tell you why you should. Admire them because they exercise curiosity and determination. They treat every challenge the way you should if you're going to hustle as an opportunity to learn something new. The added bonus of being a learn-it-all is that when you eventually hire experts for real money or outsource tasks for real money, you'll be well armed to set clear expectations, spot red flags, because you've done it, even if you've done it poorly. Curiosity lets you hustle smarter.